Today in Matt's class, we are talking camera techniques, pan. So as you guys probably remember, if you saw my video on industry terminology, you probably remember pan is whenever you have a camera on a fixed axis and you can pan right and you can pan left. So there's different ways that you can illustrate that, and I am going to go over them today. All right, so one way to illustrate a panned movement is to do it through a series of storyboards. So let's say we start with this one, and let's say this one is storyboard number 1. Let's say this scenario begins, I'm going to draw just really quick doodles to kind of get the point across, but let's say we begin with Smiley Face Dude, and Smiley Face Dude is very happy, chilling out in his home. Here is the floor in the background, and here is a winder, as they call it. I don't know who they is, but there's your winder. And then here is a door over here. Let's say that at some point there is a mysterious knock at the door. So let's say what's going to happen next. Let's say that the camera is going to pan to the right. So what we can do another storyboard, but because the camera isn't cutting to a new shot, this is still shot number 1. So what we can do, we can say this is 1A, and then 1B is, even though it's a brand new storyboard, this is going to be a continuation of what we saw in the first shot. This becomes 1B, and because we are now panning over this way, maybe we only see a little bit of Smiley Face Dude over here, and then we pan over, there's a mysterious knock at the door, but now when we pan over, we can see this door kind of center frame. Maybe there's also a chair, part of a couch or something. So that would be one way of illustrating a panned movement. The next way that you could illustrate a panned movement is you could show it all in one storyboard. So what you could do, let's say we have a storyboard here. Let's say this is storyboard 13. And let's say in this storyboard, let's say Al Pacino, hoo-ah, is holding a machine gun. He's very angry. Hoo-ah! This is my super quick, really bad, cartoony. I always think of horrible examples like people shooting guns and ninjas, but my examples are meant to be kind of humorous. I hope you guys think so too. So maybe he's shooting like so. But instead of having, a lot of times in your storyboards you'll have information over here on the right, but maybe instead we could just extend our panel like so. Now this does not mean that the aspect ratio has changed to super widescreen. What this means, and what you can do, is in your gutter space, you can actually draw a two-dimensional arrow. Now I know what some of you are thinking if you've seen my video on drawing arrows. You're saying, wait a minute, we're not supposed to draw two-dimensional arrows, we're supposed to draw three-dimensional arrows. Yes, that is true, but usually your three-dimensional arrows are for anything that's moving in camera, that's moving in a three-dimensional space. Your two-dimensional arrows is anytime the camera is moving, the camera itself, this kind of helps indicate that. So here is your panned movement. So let's say Al Pacino is shooting, rat-tat-tat-tat-tat, like so. And let's say over here there is a tugboat in front of a dock, and maybe there are bad guys, there's like drug dealers over on this boat, and maybe they're shooting back as well. So there's a guy here, pew, pew. There's another person here, pew. And then there's a person up here that got shot. No, I'm falling and I can't get up. There's a little door on the back of this boat or something like that. And then maybe in the background, we just kind of see the horizon. Like so. So what this means, if you see a shot like this, and by the way, this isn't 13A or B because we see the entire shot. This means if the pan is going like this means we start with a close shot of Al Pacino, who has an ear. We have a close shot of Al Pacino shooting a gun, and then the camera pans over to what he's shooting at. So that would be another way of illustrating a pan. Which way is better? It's actually up to you, and as a creative, however you feel like telling this story is how it should be delivered. But there could be a reason why you might choose one way versus another, and that has to do with the mighty dollar. Here is the reason why. It all depends on how you're getting paid. Now, a lot of times storyboard artists are getting paid per storyboard. And I can tell you, for example, here in Detroit right now, at the time this video is being made, usually black and white storyboards pay about $100 per storyboard, or you're getting paid $100 an hour. It usually averages out to be about the same because you're usually spending about an hour on each storyboard. But I can tell you this, if you do your pans this way, and you're getting paid per storyboard, this is going to pay you $200 because this is $100, this is $100. But if you do a panned movement like this is only going to pay you $100 because this is only one frame. So some of you might say, oh my gosh, well, I'm always doing my pan movements this way. That way I can get paid for each time I draw a new frame. Well, there's a number of reasons why you might not want to do things this way. For one, you might be working on a job that you are, oh my gosh, I am so over this. If I have to draw smiley face dude another time, it's going to be too soon. So perhaps just to get through the project quicker, you might want to do your panned movement this way. Also, in a lot of situations, like if you're working in advertising, there are cases where you are getting paid per project. So you might be getting a flat rate of $5,000 for storyboarding a television commercial, for example. Now at that point, if you're getting paid $5,000 for this commercial, it does not matter how many storyboards you do or don't do, you're getting paid that flat rate of $5,000. So in that case, if you do a ton of pan storyboards like this, it's almost like you're losing money every time you draw another panel because you're still getting paid the same. You're still getting paid that $5,000 for the project. So sometimes you might want to cut corners like this in order to maximize how much work you're putting in versus how much you are getting paid. What do I usually choose? Honestly, it depends on the project, and usually it depends on what is in the script and what the story calls for. What is going to be the easiest way to communicate this to the director, to communicate this to the actors? So I go back and forth. It's really just whatever the story calls for visually and what's going to be the easiest way to show that makes things the most clear. All right, that is how to illustrate a pan movement. Come back for the next video. I'm going to show you guys how to do tilt. What?